In this segment, I'd like to introduce you to spellout rules. Spellout rules in the synthesizing grammar. And we can see those rules by going to Generator, Lexicon and Grammar Development. And this is the screen where we'll be doing the vast majority of our work. As you may recall from the introductory video, the grammar is over here. It's divided into two groups, the transfer grammar, which performs the transfer step of the translation process, and the synthesizing grammar, which performs synthesis. And right now we happen to be at nouns 1.1. And the spellout rules are here. The spellout rules here in the synthesizing grammar are virtually identical to the spellout rules that we looked at in the previous segment, except those spellout rules were in the lexicon, so they're called lexical spellout rules. But the spellout rules here in the synthesizing grammar are essentially the same. And we'd like to write one spellout rule for this particular segment. If we look down here, we see that this first generates a man walked. And the reason it generates a man walked is because man is marked as first mention. You see about halfway down the list, participant tracking is first mention, and number is singular. And in English, under those circumstances, we insert the indefinite article a. Let's begin by linking man, the concept man, to the target language equivalent. We can do that either by right-clicking and selecting the first menu option, map this concept to target words, or just double-clicking on the concept. So here we see the dialog where we can map our concepts to target words. The concept that we're linking right now is man, and we've already entered man in a previous tutorial. So all I have to do is click on it, and you'll see that its row number 4 appears in the mapping cell. And we click OK. So now man is linked to man, and let's link walk, the concept walk, to the target language verb for walk. Okay, now we're ready to write a spellout rule that will insert the indefinite article a for all nouns that are marked as first mention and singular. And we can use Grammar Wizard to do that. I'll click on Grammar Wizard here. In this case, we're going to write a spellout rule that adds a word. The word is a, and I push the tab key. The tag, let's enter article and push the tab key. We want this added to nouns. And now we see a spellout rule. And again, like I mentioned, this is almost identical to the lexical spellout rules. It has the same capabilities. There's one more here in the synthesizing grammar called phrase builder, but phrase builder rules are still somewhat experimental, so I won't be discussing them in these tutorials. This will be a simple rule because it adds just one word. The rule type of modification is set to add word. Now here we'll use the features. So I click on the features button. We want this to apply whenever participant tracking is first mentioned and number is singular. And while I'm here, I'd like to mention, when you're setting the features, this is a noun rule, so it comes up with features for nouns, as you can see here, noun features. And this button is highlighted, meaning we're looking at the word features. You can also look at phrase features. So suppose, for example, your language entered different articles, whether it's an agent or patient or a state or source, etc. You can also look at the clause features. So if your language entered different articles in questions, for example, you might specify that as a content interrogative or a yes-no interrogative. But those things aren't relevant to English. So let's come back to the word features. So singular and first mention. And we see those features appear here. And when you're writing rules here in the synthesizing grammar, the verse will be entered in the comment for you so that you'll know where you wrote this rule. Let's specify a topic. This could be participant tracking. We need to enter a group, and right now there aren't any groups, so let's specify a new group. Let's call it articles. Okay, you've just entered a new constituent into noun phrases called article. You want to edit your first noun phrase structure rule. When we write a spellout rule that inserts a new constituent into the text, the phrase structure rules are scanned to see if we've already specified where to insert that particular constituent. In this case, we haven't specified where to insert article, so it prompts us to edit our first noun phrase structure rule. So let's say yes. Now it enters it there at the top for us, and if we click on it, we can see the example, which is what we just entered, the indefinite article A. And we want this article to precede nouns, so we can leave it there. But in general, in your phrase structure rules, you can drag them and position them wherever you want. So let's say yes. And now, if we click the Generate button, you can see the rules being generated. Okay, walk a man. And if we rest our cursor here, the pop-up shows us that this article was inserted by the Spellout rule for nouns called in the group called articles, and the name of the rule is add word a article. That concludes this particular segment.